Alright, so as we all know, Infamous is one of those games of all time. At least everyone I know personally has it as one of their favorite games. There's been so many people wanting a remastered version, and I think it's safe to say we would all suck. But anyways, I decided I'm gonna try and make Cole's abilities in UE5, so let's see how it turned out. First off, I wanted to make the easier parts, so I made the attack system first, from his lightning zap, to his rocket launcher, his lightning grenade, and his little shockwave thing that he does to push enemies away. But guess what? I'm a fucking liar. I love to lie, and a lot of the times for no good reason. I'm actually gonna start with his glide ability that he does when traveling in the air, because all we need to do is check to see if my boy is standing 10 toes down, and if he's not, we just set the gravity scale to whatever number we want to use, which I just used 0.2. And this is how it looks like. Next was the lightning zap, which was also fairly easy. All we do is set up a blueprint of type actor and set up a mesh to handle a collision, which for me is just this really small sphere that you can see right here. A particle system, radio force, because in the game we can upgrade our zapping ability and it can launch enemies off their feet, and projectile movement. I know I could have just sphere traced and made it more accurate, but I decided to make it this way just because it was a lot easier to work with the particle system, as I couldn't get it to look how I wanted to with the line trace. For the projectile movement in this, we just made it so that gravity doesn't affect it, and made it so that it's super fast, since, well, it's lightning. So as for the code in the third person blueprint, this is just what it is, just a simple spawn actor, and this is what it looks like. If anyone has a better way of making it, I'd love to hear how to do it in the comments, by the way. So next was the rocket, which I just duplicated the lightning zap and switched the particle system I'm using and slowed it down. I also made this one so that gravity doesn't affect it, because in the game, as you can see, the lightning missiles travel pretty slow, but it still doesn't get affected by gravity, so we're keeping it like that. Which the particle system we're using it makes it look like I'm throwing some fucking hollow purples. Like, yes, Sukuna, we remember you were cooked until that plot armor equipped, and I made it so that once it hits something, it applies a radio force. So yeah, this is just what the code looks like, and this is what it looks like inside of the game. The shockwave was pretty easy because it's just like the other two, where I just duplicated the lightning, changed the particle system, and projectile movement was pretty much similar to what it was for the lightning missile, just a little quicker because it's super quick. And as for detection, I only wanted to check for our enemies, so this is it. Also, since this one we're not checking for collisions only, we made a small little delay before it destroys the actor, and this is what it looks like. I then duplicated the rocket for the grenade, and I switched some stuff around, like for example making it being able to bounce inside of the projectile movement and having it affected by gravity. For some reason, whenever I first started, this shit didn't feel like working. It was just going through walls, even though I know for a fact I have all the collision settings correctly set up. And I can't lie, this bitch ass grenade had me ready to do one of these. I then ran out of patience and googled it, and like always there was someone with the same problem 5 years ago, and as it turns out, all it took was this. And then it just finally started working. Now, I don't know if y'all knew this, but I'm not exactly doing YouTube as a trigger warning job. So I had to go do some real life stuff for the next day, and I came back tired and didn't do any coding. And it was like that for the rest of the week pretty much. And usually the actual coding in the project doesn't take me too long, but I like finding my code first. So that's all this was for 2 weeks into me starting this idea. But after some rest, I was ready to get back to it. I decided to get started on the movement, and next was the climbing system. And I know I made one for Peak, but this was completely different. Cole ain't really built for digging his nails into the building and climbing no matter what the surface is. So I had to make a whole new system, one that I did not know how to make, so I did what y'all are doing right now, and that is look up a tutorial. So shout out Demonstration, which by the way is a pretty clean name, I can't lie. And I'm not gonna go over his code, but I will leave his link in the description so y'all could go and check him out. Only thing I changed was the setting for the trace channel so that it's easier to find our ledges, but this is how it looks like. Whoops. Next was the rail sliding, but considering I wanted to get this video out within a reasonable time, I couldn't get it done. All I got down was the functionality to trace for the rail, which we use a spline for the rail, and I was gonna start moving him, but like I said, it's already been too long, and this video is also longer than what I usually post, and as a matter of fact, that's gonna be some homework that I leave for you guys, so that way y'all can, hey, settle down, that's enough. But if you get stuck, there's some pretty good tutorials out there, so you can always look that up too. So yeah, that's how I made Cole's abilities from Infamous. I think for the most part it came out well enough, and honestly, I don't know if I'm missing anything in particular to Cole's abilities, but if I am, let me know in the comments below, especially if you want to see a specific mechanic. And even though it's not perfect, at the end of the day, I'm just here to give you the skeleton, you are the meat. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, leave a like and subscribe. If you got any more game mechanics that you want to see, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.